Next on Action 2 News at 10, we're following breaking news out of the Pulaski area where a school bus is involved in a serious accident. We'll have a live report from the scene. Experts say last year's propane crisis that left families unable to heat their homes won't be repeated again this year. Why, they say it's a matter of storage and preparation. And Grand Chute police say they're looking for a man who committed an act of indecent exposure in the Fox River Mall parking lot.
From WBAY TV, this is Action 2 News at 10. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Cami is off tonight. We're following breaking news near Pulaski where a school bus and a car have crashed and multiple emergency units are on the scene. That crash happened on Highway 29 at St. Augustine Drive. That's just south of Pulaski. Right now, Highway 29 is closed west of Highway 32. Police on the scene say the crash is quote-unquote horrific. Patrick Nelson joins us now live from the scene with the very latest. Patrick.
Bill, we're on the scene of what first responders are calling a horrible crash, and you can see why. Behind me, you've got volleyball players from Pulaski High School, JV and varsity. We're told that some of these girls were injured in the wreck tonight, but we haven't got the numbers specifically. That information coming from the Pulaski fire chief. Now you can see where their bus ended up tonight after a crash on Highway 29. We still are working to learn details about the crash, but you can see here on the roadway on St. Augustine Road near 29, you still see some volleyball players, some parents, some firefighters, even Pulaski police here on the scene to make sure that some of these girls riding on the bus were okay. Now, there were some of the girls here leaving the scene with tears in their eyes, a very traumatic experience for them. And just on the other side of this white truck you see behind me, there is a car that is demolished to the point that I can't even identify what kind of a car it is. Now, again, I'll be working with first responders and the Pulaski Fire Chief to try to learn more information about what transpired here. But again, first responders, when we first got here to the scene, told us we needed to back up because this was a horrible accident. So certainly more details to come tonight, but we're learning that it was the varsity volleyball team and JV volleyball team for Pulaski High School traveling back to the school from Seymour. Again, there are some girls that are injured at the hospital tonight. We do not know what the extent is or the extent of the injuries inside of that car involved with the bus crash, but we'll work to get you that info on Action 2 News this morning. Back to you.
With the unofficial end of summer upon us, many people in northeast Wisconsin now focus their attention on preparing for the heating season. Last year, people across the Midwest felt the effects of a propane shortage crisis that left people struggling to heat their homes. But a new emphasis on storage could avoid another expensive winter. In our top story, Patrick Nelson explains how leaders of Wisconsin's propane industry say they're making sure there won't be a propane crisis this winter.
There's no snow on the ground yet in northeast Wisconsin, but in the Fox Valley, propane suppliers are busy filling tanks.
I'm seeing a totally different, I guess, mentality or a plan of attack, not only from the consumers, but also from the dealers alike.
Propane companies say waiting to fill their tanks contributed to a shortage of propane.
We just simply couldn't get enough propane where it was needed fast enough.
We've learned a lot. In our industry, you know, this has never happened before, as it has this past winter. I hope it never does happen again, but I want to be ready to take on that challenge.
Here at Garrow Oil, tanks like this hold up to 30,000 gallons of propane. And by adding 6 more tanks like this, they say they're making sure that there will be enough propane in the Fox Valley and surrounding areas when people need it the most.
What we did after last year's propane crisis is we decided that we need to spend money to build onto our infrastructure.
Investing roughly $1 million, this Fox Valley propane company, serving 4,000 customers, can now store 360,000 gallons of propane in 12 tanks. That's twice as much as they could store last year.
I think that more dealers and more residents are more prepared, are being very proactive about it, and I don't anticipate, you know, a repeat of last year.
Wisconsin propane industry leaders say more storage along with early fills from residential customers and companies will protect northeast Wisconsin from another propane crisis. Patrick Nelson, Action 2 News.
We
We had scattered showers and a few thunder showers earlier in the day, but now here in northeastern Wisconsin, it is dry, despite the fact that we do have some storms passing by to our north, but they'll stay north overnight tonight. And our temperatures right now are all pretty much the same. We have a mix of upper 50s and lower 60s across the area. Here's your first forecast for tomorrow. A decently sunny day, slightly more humid, and right around 80 for a daytime high. And although we won't have any weather problems during the day, by tomorrow night and into Thursday, strong storms in the offing. More with Pinpoint Predictor a little later on, Bill.
Brad, thank you. Grand Chute police are investigating an indecent exposure incident in the parking lot of the Fox River Mall yesterday. Grand Chute police say they are looking for this man who was driving a tan SUV in connection to that incident. Sari Soffer spoke with the victim about what happened and what leads police have so far.
Meredith Ullman was unloading some last-minute school supplies for her daughters Monday afternoon when she noticed a man staring at her from his car in the Target parking lot.
I could see his arms moving, and I didn't have a good feeling about it, and he was just looking at me with this steely look.
Ullman snapped this photo on her smartphone.
I just zoomed in to get a good shot of him and
then confronted the suspect before he sped away from the Fox River Mall parking lot.
I was just horrified at what I was seeing. He was like 5 or 6 stalls from the front of the Target store.
And with back-to-school shopping, Ullman says the parking lot was filled with children and their parents when the incident occurred.
I'm a high school teacher. I want to protect my students, and I'm a mother, and I was like, I can't believe this guy is doing this.
Ullman posted the picture she took on Facebook, which Grand Chute police say led to a number of tips.
A lot of different names, so we are looking into each individual name that is brought forth to us to see if that is our suspect or not.
They also surveyed Target store surveillance and the Wisconsin crime alert system.
I've been going around town and outside our jurisdiction looking into anything and everything that we're getting.
Police are asking for any additional information. In Grand Chute, Sari Soffer, Action 2 News.
A video posted by the extremist group The Islamic State appears to show the beheading of 31-year-old American journalist Steven Sotloff. The video, which we are not showing, has not been authenticated by U.S. officials. Sotloff was a freelance journalist who went missing in Syria about a year ago. He last appeared at the end of a video showing the beheading of another journalist, James Foley. In that video, masked men threatened to kill Sotloff if airstrikes didn't end in Iraq. In today's video, Sotloff says he's paying the price for U.S. intervention.
If the video is genuine, we are sickened by this brutal act taking the life of another innocent American citizens. Our hearts go out to the Sotloff family.
A British journalist's life was threatened in today's video. Officials believe at least 2 other American journalists are being held by ISIS. New today, President Obama is sending another 350 troops to Iraq to protect the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The White House says the State Department asked for the additional military support to protect the U.S. diplomatic facilities in the Iraqi capital. The President approved the additional troops today and says they will not serve in a combat role. The Pentagon says most of the new troops are from the Army. This new deployment raises the total number of U.S. troops in Iraq to more than 1,000, with about 800 of them providing security. As kids head back to school across the country today, a new report shows about half of the country's schools are unprepared for an emergency or disaster. A report from the group Save the Children shows that Wisconsin is not one of them. We have reached full compliance with the national safety regulations, did so back in 2011. That means schools and daycares in the state have plans to safely evacuate kids from school, reunite them with parents, and plan for kids with disabilities. With 20 school shootings and 50 natural disasters hitting schools across the country in the past year, the report says all schools need to have emergency plans in place. For some parents in the town of Scott, the first day of school was a bit nerve-wracking as the young children had to walk to catch the bus today. In years past, kids were able to wait in their driveways for the school bus, but today, kids had to walk to the neighborhood corner. Parents protested that decision today, leading the Green Bay Public School District to change their policy and allow those kids to be picked up at their driveways again. The school district took over bus routes this year, and they say originally they changed the route to save some money. We're getting some new information about the breaking story we told you about at the top of the newscast. As we told you a few minutes ago, a school bus carrying Pulaski High School varsity and JV volleyball players was involved in a crash with a car about 9 o'clock tonight. The teams were returning from a match with Seymour. The crash happened on Highway 29, just west of Highway 32. The Pulaski fire chief tells us 18 total people were hurt. 11 people who were injured on the bus have been taken to the hospital by ambulance. Another 5, all students, were hurt but released to their parents. 2 people in the car were also injured. No word on the seriousness of those injuries. Highway 29 is closed west of Highway 32. We have a crew on the scene and we'll have full details tomorrow on Action 2 News this morning. Green Bay police say a man is injured seriously after a boating accident on the East River near downtown this past weekend. Officers say a 21-year-old man was sitting down in a boat when he slammed his head into the Main Street Bridge as the boat drove under it Saturday night. He's said to be in serious condition tonight. Police say the water level was high at the time, leaving very little room under the bridge.
We think that the water level definitely had something to do with it. There's been so much rain lately, and with the wind, the direction it was blowing that day, the water levels are up quite a bit on the East River.
Officers say this accident is a good warning for boaters to stay alert on the water and also to stay sober. Police arrested the boat operator in this accident for drunk driving. A daycare center for people with special needs gives families a chance to collect their belongings today after an abrupt closure last week. Haven of Hope says it ran into some financial troubles and had to close its doors without notice to its clients. A number of local organizations and agencies are stepping in, offering to help for those families who are scrambling to find good care for their loved ones.
And thought, what are these families going to do? Because it's like a snow day now until they figure out what's going on. Last minute, oh my God, where am I going to put my kids? Where am I going to work today? Is it going to be okay to take the day off? And it's not just one day, this is ongoing.
Those groups are offering care and also possible employment for the staff who lost their jobs when Haven of Hope closed.
Here's Dave Schrader from Action 2 Sports.
I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
I'm sorry, Richard, but I'm going to talk about you. Seattle's Richard Sherman needs no introduction. He's well known for his play and for his, shall we say, loquacious personality. In fact, the entire Seattle defense is well known for its vociferous behavior and even louder play. The Packers' own conversational character on defense, Mike Daniels, sees a lot to emulate from the Seattle D.
You watched the Super Bowl and didn't take notes, you probably don't belong here, because they really showed how you get it done. They didn't do anything special. There was no crazy this or that. They rushed forward, maybe blitzed every now and then, and their defensive backfield was there to intimidate, and the linebackers came, filled gaps, and made plays. They all hustled to the football, and everybody thoroughly looked like they were having fun, and they enjoyed being there. Every tackle was like a celebration. They threw a party after every play, and that's kind of how you have to be. You have to love this game. If you don't love it, it'll show.
The NFL's emphasis on illegal contact, defensive holding, and pass interference is being interpreted by many as a direct attempt to disarm Seattle's defense. But strangely enough, in this year's flag-infested preseason, none of the Seahawks' starting defensive backs were flagged one single time. Digest that stat for just a bit. Okay. To a man, the Packers say they won't count on the yellow laundry to bail them out. If the flags fly, so be it. But every defender and every coach in the NFL knows one thing.
Just like anything, you have rules and you have the rules that are being emphasized. So if something's not being emphasized, you grab the jersey. You know, they weren't emphasizing it before. So now they're emphasizing don't grab the jersey. So you don't grab the jersey. And it's really as simple as that. They've been very upfront, and they made their point in the preseason about what they're looking for. And it's our job to teach it that way.
Well, there's some strange news coming out of Madison. This morning, Coach Gary Anderson announced that Joel Stave was injured. So I guess that's why he didn't replace ineffective starter Tanner McAvoy on Saturday. Well, not so fast. This evening, Anderson backtracked, saying Stave is not injured, but is not where he needs to be, whatever that means. And Bart Houston would have actually relieved McAvoy Saturday if a move was made. Hashtag strange. Well, for the first time since the first week of the season, the Brewers are not in first place. One game back of the Cardinals to start the night, and the Cubs were killing the Crew again. In the fifth inning, it's a two-run jack for Arismendi Alcantara. 7-1 the lead there. Chicago goes on to beat the Brewers. The Brewers lose their 7th straight. Check the scoreboard tonight. The Cardinals win again. So the Brewers now in a 2-game hole in the NL Central. They were doing so well for so long, but they've got to turn it on now. They do start a homestand, a lengthy homestand, after tomorrow's series finale in Chicago.
Better get home in a hurry and get healthy real fast.
Need to.
Thanks, Guy. We've learned that one person has died in that school bus crash in Pulaski. Brown County Sheriff's deputies say the passenger in the car has died. The driver is said to be in critical condition. No word on the condition of the 8 students from Pulaski High School that were transferred to the hospital. We'll be following this story and we'll bring you the latest tomorrow morning on Action 2 News this morning. And here's Brad now with the final word on the weather.
All right, ahead for tomorrow. Looks like a dry day during the day. It'll be partly to mostly sunny. It will be slightly humid, a little bit warmer, right around 80. And then remember, tomorrow night into Thursday, we'll have some showers and storms, and some of those might be stronger. So meteorologist Steve Balon will be here at 4:30 in the morning already to give you an update on that.
Caffeinated.
We hope.
That's going to do it for tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.